Hey guys, what's up? This is Jordan, another installment of the Two Clutch Sports Connect, and I'm just gonna dive right into this. We had the NBA playoffs, the first weekend of the NBA playoffs this weekend, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time in a while that the home team has won every game. I believe it was OKC beating their old buddy James Harden in Houston. We had, the San Antonio Spurs beating the Lakers, which, I didn't really think it was going to be much of a contest, even though the Lakers actually did fight a bit before going down. You had Denver beating Golden State in a thriller, and also you had the 4-5 matchup with the Clippers and the Grizzlies, which the Clippers won. And then on the East Coast, you had Brooklyn trouncing my Chicago Bulls. Just, I don't know if it's going to be a long week or a short week. It might be both. You had, of course, the Miami Heat beating the Milwaukee Bucks. You had the New York Knicks beating the Boston Celtics. And the Indiana Pacers, with Paul George back in a triple-double, beating the Atlanta Hawks, which is a great accomplishment considering the Atlanta Hawks get knocked out in the first round about every freaking year. Anyway, some of these games didn't impress me as much as others. The Houston games, the 1A games, didn't really impress me that much, even though I didn't see, to me, even though I didn't, not I didn't see, but even though, even though there was a couple of storylines going in. You had James Harden going back to OKC, but, as good as he is, and, they have some nice pieces in Lennon, Parsons, and Ashik, but they just don't have enough to beat, the defending Western Conference champions. Not them. They just don't have enough for that. And, he, in a way, was kind of out there on his own. And, Milwaukee versus, the Heat. Brandon Jennings came out and made that statement and, saying he could see them beating the Heat in 6. But I'm not mad at him for that. Some people are like, son, are you stupid? Like, what's wrong with you? But, what do you want him to do? Do you want him to really come out here and, say, oh my God, we suck. We're going to get absolutely trounced. No. Like, you don't want him to look already defeated before the games have even played. I mean, miracles happen in sports from time to time, and sometimes the giant gets absolutely, upset or whatever. So, I'm not mad at him in the least for doing that. But, anyhow, that didn't improve that much excitement. Also, you got the Bulls at, absolutely getting slaughtered by, the Brooklyn Nets, because they had, Darren Williams and Brook Lopez were working, and it's just like, when you have that, Noah's not fully healthy yet, there's nothing they can do. Plus, the Bulls are very, very offensively challenged. At the end of the day, without Derrick Rose, they're a first-round exit, unfortunately. I can't wait for D-Rose to return this season, so, I mean, not this season, but next season, because I could really, well, not just me, but the rest of Bulls Nation could really, really use that shot in the arm. We're ready to see another long playoff run, so we'll be excited for that. But anyway, I think the most exciting game from this weekend is 2. I liked Lakers-Spurs because the Lakers actually battled more than I expected them to. I mean, of course, they weren't going to overcome Tim Duncan. Tony Parker was back to his usual self, even though he didn't shoot that way. For the most part, he was. I thought they're going to get better. The Lakers, hopefully, they'll get better, and they'll still make this much of a series. Steve Nash has got to step up, because without Kobe Bryant, they have that extreme lack of perimeter shooting. And, Dwight and Gasol, they got to do what they do up front, and they got to be 2010 guys. Otherwise, they're not going to make this much of a series against a Greg Popovich coach team. Because for the life of God, I still have no idea why they went and hired Mike D'Antoni. That was just stupid. They had Phil Jackson just sitting out there, and they just said, nah, let's hire D'Antoni. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. But, my favorite game out of all of them was Golden State at Denver. And I just thought that one was just the most exciting game because, you had Andre Miller, a guy that surprisingly has never been an all-star in his career, hit that game-winning layup, He is the model. I mean, as much as I'm shocked, because, Denver doesn't really have a guy, somebody has to step up, but, you don't look at him because he's not, necessarily, you don't look at him as the man. But, he did pretty well, and, I'm not mad at that. So, I, I think that was just real, real good, and, it was just close throughout the whole game, and, man, I'm real. You know what? I'm only doing one take. I'm not doing this again, so let me just get back to doing what I'm doing. Uh, I have, Denver winning this series just because I just don't think it's Golden State's time yet. I think they need to keep building around Steph Curry, put more pieces around him. Harrison Barnes is nice. Klay Thompson can play. I like David Lee. And, on that subject, condolences to having him, being lost from the playoffs with that torn hip flexor tendon. And I think that's what's going to be the fork in the turkey. I think it's done because of that, just because their whole lack of depth up court, and they have nothing to compete with the likes of a JaVale McGee and maybe Andre Iguodala, if you want to look at that, considering he's a swing man, and Kenneth Faried and everybody else up there. So, that's really going to hurt him. Because I just don't see Andrew Bogut as that guy, even though he could step up and do a little bit of damage. He's just not the dude who you look at him and it's just like, wow, he's the monster. He's going to save us. That's just what it is. But anyway, before I ramble on for, like an hour and a half, let me just get into tonight's games. You got game 2, Bulls at Nets, and you have game 2, Grizzlies at Clippers. Now for the Bulls and Nets, I got the Nets winning again just because, between Joe Johnson, Gerald Wallace, maybe not him as much, but him, Andre Blatch, you got C.J. Watson, who I remember used to hurt a lot of people for us with the Bulls. But Darren Williams and Brook Lopez, I just think it's a little too much for the Bulls. Even though they have that lockdown defense, I don't think they have the necessary scoring to compete with them as of right now. I mean, I think I said this before, but Derrick Rose is, he's... If you don't think he's a franchise player, look at this team. On this team, he's the complete difference between a first-round exit and a blown playoff run. Because, you look at a guy on the other side, Joe Johnson, as good as he is, he's a former multi-time All-Star, but Joe Johnson, the Hawks traded him, and they didn't really miss a beat. They're still the same Hawks. So, his value's not as high as it, is perceived to be. But, anyway, I think the lack of scoring is really going to hurt the Bulls. Luol Deng's a nice player. I've said this before, but the Bulls need another superstar, and he's just sorely not it. I don't really look at Boozer that way. He's just a really solid, overpaid player. Noah, even though he's shown flashes of being a better scorer this year, I don't look at him as that guy either. And, who in God's name knows what the Bulls are going to do with 2 guard? Because I definitely don't. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. But, on to the other series. You got Clippers and Memphis. That what Memphis has done has been remarkable between Tony Allen and the Gasol and Randolph up front and Mike Conley in the backcourt. And Tayshaun Prince has been a nice addition, and he does fit in. But they're going to run into what Denver's going to run into eventually, the lack of having that one go-to guy. Because, Zach Randolph, you could look at that. But when you trade a borderline star and Rudy Gay, I don't think it's going to make that, especially, in the playoffs when you need that one-on-one isolation guy to, take care of business, that explosive one. I don't know how far Zach Randolph is going to go with that. So that's going to be interesting to see. But I got the Clippers winning this game. They've got all that other firepower between Chauncey Billups, a potential 6th man of the year, even though a possible Sixth Man of the Year candidate, even though he didn't win. J.R. Smith took that award. Congrats to him. Off the bench, with Matt Barnes, and then you have, of course, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Caron Butler, and just the whole mess of weapons that the Clippers have. Unless they pull some trick-or-treat nonsense, I got the Clippers winning this game and this series, even though I do expect Memphis to at least fight a little bit when they get back at home. But anyway, I want to know what you think. I'm going to leave the link to my Twitter down there. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. But, man, I'm tired. These allergies still suck. And, Dad, if you're watching this, please give me another copy of 2K12. I really need one. Or 2K13, or whatever year this is. Anyway, I'm out. Goodbye.